How popular is Shedeur Sanders? Do you think he's way over the top popular? Like, would you say he is a star? Like, how would you describe his popularity?
Yeah, I think he's a star, whether people want him to be or not. I think because the draft only enhanced his stardom. I think it's the perfect ingredient in the Shedeur Sanders cake, if you will. It is everything that he needed it to be, to have the comeback story, the hey, everyone passed on me, everyone wanted to prank call me, everyone wanted to hate on me, everyone said it was daddy ball, everyone said I wasn't good enough, that whole deal. 143 people passed on me. I'm going to prove all of them wrong or whatever, that kind of thing. And honestly, I think it really just comes down to it's a matter of time. It really does depend on how it shakes out in Cleveland. If Joe Flacco gets hurt week 1 and Shedeur, earns that backup spot, then who the hell knows what could happen? I mean, I'm a buyer. I think that the guy has the mentals. I think that yes, there needs to be some adjustments made to how he plays the games in terms of, throwing the ball away, risk aversion, just those little things that quarterbacks have to manage and be accountable for. I think those are things he has to work on, but there's no question that the guy's a workhorse. His work ethic is incredible. He's already, if you're following along with his story, he did the hill workout. He also went to a local school and spoke to kids. He's already in the facility. Like he's building a relationship with that community and takes it really seriously. And so I just think that, in the question of, hey, how popular is he? I think this guy's already one of the most popular players in the league. Honestly, I think he hasn't played a down of football in the NFL, and I think people are buying the hype. I think they're buying this kid's talent and his story and what he's about. And I think he understands that. And I think that Shedeur Sanders, has benefited immensely from the process he went through under Prime in terms of making content and cameras always being around and always being in the middle of it. And so I think he just understands that, hey, I got to ball out on the field, but I also got to ball out in the community and really build that relationship so that, as they say in Gladiator, you got to win the crowd, dude.
I don't think anybody doubts his talent. Like, he is a ready-made NFL starter day one. And I don't know how many people will even argue with that. I think the expectation is he is going to pretty substantially beat out Dylan Gabriel. I think that's the expectation. And I don't think, now that we know the stories, you hear the stories, if you haven't, that he doesn't have an agent. There was no plan or forethought put into the interviews with the NFL teams. He allegedly sandbagged or tanked interviews with certain teams because he didn't want to go and play there. And that got around, and that is what is being singularly attributed to his slide, his historic tank in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Nobody is saying he can't play, that he's not a good NFL prospect, that he isn't, because I think everybody pretty much agrees that the guy is as good as any quarterback that was drafted. He is as capable as a starting quarterback as any rookie in this league is. And frankly, I think what you're seeing out of Shedeur only backs up what everybody said. He's a professional. When it comes to football stuff, he's a professional. He's well prepared. He is always in shape. Like, you're seeing now. But what is his level of popularity? Because I got to tell you, the stat that was put out today by Darren Ravel, this is pretty surprising. That the 144th pick in the NFL draft now has the best-selling jersey of anybody in the draft. Shedeur Sanders now has the number one selling jersey of anybody in this NFL draft. That's wild. He plunges all the way to 144, and yet the story only gets bigger and better.
Yeah, I don't think most people believe, like the casual fan, if you will, like the person who's already bought his jersey and everything. I don't think they believe he fell because of the interviews. I think there's a conspiracy out there that owners blacklisted him, and that there's this narrative against him, and that's part of why his jersey sale numbers are doing really well, because people want to support him. But I also think there's a whole side of it where people just like the kid, think he's going to be a good player, and want his jersey before he ever steps on the field.
Like him or hate him. I don't think I've run into anybody who's like, nah, I'm indifferent. You either like him or you hate Shedeur. You think he's a good quarterback or you think he sucks. I think one of the amazing things that we've seen on this show over the last week is the people are like, oh, his stats are terrible. His stats are not terrible. They're elite. Oh, well, his mechanics are terrible. Well, as it turns out, everybody in the NFL disagrees with you that his mechanics suck.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of the he can't play football stuff that fans were throwing around, complete garbage, because we like to beat people up. I think it's in this world and where we currently are in the climate of this planet, we love to beat people down.
Yes.
We love to be a fan in Cleveland and tell, a baseball player that he should go and murk himself. Oh, we think that's cool. I'm a hard ass, right? Like, well, actually, it's not. Like this Jeff Ulbrich story with his kid, and they're apologizing because his kid stole Shedeur's number off of his dad's iPad and thought it would be funny to prank call Shedeur Sanders, and I think others, in my opinion, because this prank calling thing spread across the NFL.
Yeah, it's kind of blown up
a ton of these draft picks got prank calls. I'm amazed that here we have the defensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons having to issue an apology.
First of all, I'd like to publicly apologize to Shedeur and the Sanders family for what occurred. Second of all, I want to publicly apologize to Mr. Blank, Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris, and the entire Falcons organization. My actions of not protecting confidential data were inexcusable. My son's actions were absolutely inexcusable. And for that, we are both deeply sorry. The NFL has taken action, and I fully respect the punishment. We take full responsibility, my son and myself, and we will not be appealing the fine in any way. Going forward, I promise my son and I will work hard to demonstrate we are better than this. Again, I'm deeply sorry for our actions.
That doesn't make it right. I don't care that they fined you $100,000. That is, bro, that's French fry money for you.
Mm-hmm.
$250,000 the Falcons were fined. How many 2x4s did they just sell to cover that money at Home Depot?
Yeah.
Right? Because Arthur Blank, Home Depot. Anyway, my point is, that's not a punishment. I appreciate that Ulbrich got up there and apologized, but let's be really honest what his kid did. He played a part in causing Shedeur Sanders pain on what was one of the most important days of that guy's life. And I think we all think it's funny, and I think Jeff Ulbrich should have been terminated. You put NFL proprietary data at risk. You ruin the draft day of at least one and maybe many more. Like, why is this okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't, it's not okay. I think the NFL did what they had to do. I think, yeah, it's chump change to them, but it's still 250 G's. I mean, it's not like it's not like it's 10 G's. I mean, that's a lot of money. Not to them.
Is it though? I mean,
yeah, on just hey, is $250,000 a lot of money? Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Me and you, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, but like there's standard penalties in the league. I don't disagree. It's not a lot of money to them, but in general, 100 G's and 250 G's, that's a lot of money because you left your iPad on the counter and were irresponsible. And
again, my opinion is I don't think he left his iPad on the counter. I think my opinion is Ulbrich had to play some role in the execution of that prank call. And I don't know who prank called the other.
Yeah.
Like Abdul Carter got a prank call. And I like, this is, I don't want to be the master of the obvious. Do you understand how hard it is to get to where Abdul Carter and Shedeur Sanders were at that moment?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how much pain Shedeur Sanders must have felt and gone through waiting 143 other names to be called? the embarrassment, the humiliation, the stories that are coming out about him, we've completely forgot that these are human beings. They're not, these robots that have an on-off switch every Sunday afternoon. And I just don't think it's good enough.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good enough. I don't. And the conversation about, is he a bust or a bomb, or, okay, I'm happy to have that. The idea that it's okay to prank call him and make him think he's being drafted by a team, and I think it's criminal what they did to him. And I think it's guys like Brett McMurphy from Action Network. It's criminal, the stuff that you're putting out. I don't know. I'm probably going too far with it, but it's disgusting to me.
Yeah.
How people take pride in tearing other people down.
Yeah, that's what I agree with. I mean, there's, in reality, what they did isn't a crime, right? But like, it is the worst of the worst that you could do. Like, it is despicable. It is awful. It is terrible. And I think that my hope is, just for the record, my hope is that Shedeur Sanders comes into this league and dominates and has a massive crow sandwich to feed the Ulbrichts and, the Brett McMurphys and all the people who hate on him, man. Because there's a whole pile of you people out there that are all in the same camp, dude, that are hating on him and saying he sucks and he's
rooting
terrible,
for him to fail.
And why was his number retired? And I throw all of you guys in the same crowd, dude.
It's daddy ball. Why is he in Cleveland working out already? He could be in Boulder or in Texas where they live. Why is he visiting schools? Why is he walking into a restaurant and paying people's checks? Because he's trying to get ingratiated in the community. He's doing what people should be doing when you're the half. He's not the 1% in Cleveland. Shedeur Sanders financially is the 0.5%. He's the 1% of the 1%. And he's acting like that. It's just very interesting. All right, let's see. Lopes fan gave for $5. The only issue most people should have with Shedeur is absolutely nothing, because they've likely never even met him. Let this kid live. That's what I'm saying. Like, the hate that we put out on athletes, and I am a big believer in my life. I hate the Chicago White Sox, but do I actually hate their players and no? It's, to me, sports is not personal like that.
Excluding Bobby Jenks, of course.
But so many people quite literally hate Shedeur Sanders. And I'll never understand it.
Yeah.
I'll never I'm being redundant now, but the work that it takes to get to where he is, that's not daddy ball. That is not daddy ball.
Yeah.
That is busting your ass, is what that is.
Totally agree.
Eric Wasikowski, Matt Petgrave will not face charges for Adam Johnson. No, he will not. No, he will not. Replica, because the league was in on it. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that why did a defensive coordinator have Shedeur Sanders' number on an iPad? Readily available, not hard to steal off the screen. What sense does it make that that's what happened? That makes no sense.
I think the proper way to propose that or pose that is Jeff Ulbrich has every player's number on his iPad. I'm sure they have a system for that on the iPad, right? As like a coach in the league or a coordinator or whatever. I'm sure that there's I'm sure they've got an app or something that's your contacts every player's phone number or something, a way to get to them or whatever. The question is, how does your son get access to that? Why is the iPad at home? Why is the iPad leaving the facility? That particular iPad? Why? You know what I mean? There's not a lot of ways to get around the fact that Jeff would have had to allow access to the iPad. And that's the problem. And that's why I don't give a damn if you're apologizing, if your kid apologized. It's completely inexcusable. It's completely unprofessional. And honestly, it's why I lose respect for guys, because I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Tyreek Hill, Anthony Edwards, Jeff Ulbrich, Bill Belichick, Aaron Rodgers. I don't care who you are. You are making decisions and you think you can do things because you're a millionaire, and that's not true. That is not true.
Conundrum says, if he wasn't Dion's kid, I wouldn't know him. If he wasn't Dion's kid, he wouldn't be on Earth. What does that even mean? So you're saying if he was the exact same player he is, but his dad was not Deion Sanders, he would not be in this position? I think you're crazy. If he was the exact same entity that he is now, he'd still be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He'd still be one of the best quarterbacks in that draft.
Yeah.
Like on what level? When do we give Shedeur Sanders credit for not being just some terrible quarterback who can't complete a pass? That's the thing. This kind of statement is what's amazing to me. On what planet do you live that he only got to be the starting quarterback and the projected, number 2 quarterback off the board because his dad is Deion Sanders? But then let's flip the script and, well, he didn't get drafted and he slid down the board because his dad's Deion Sanders. So is it because of Deion Sanders or is it because of Deion Sanders? Right? Like, you can't have it both ways. And I think with Shedeur, there's so many people who want to blame Deion. Shedeur Sanders is an adult, and I agree he's under the influence of Deion Sanders. And clearly not having an agent is a huge mistake, in my opinion. I will continue to tell every athlete who doesn't want to pay agent fees, you're an idiot. Because you should have been probably picked in the top 5 and you wound up 144 because you didn't have a plan going into those interviews, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Deion Sanders' fault? Maybe he played a role in it. But nothing here. And nobody in the NFL is saying, oh, I didn't like the way he threw the football. Those mechanics, holy cow. That never happened. That never happened. Mel Kiper turned the draft into the Shedeur Sanders show. He was very responsible for it. He was one of a couple of guys defending Shedeur.
Yeah.
J. Trey, Shedeur is more infamous than popular. Well, I don't know how many people buy infamous jerseys, but I would say he's pretty popular.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're spending more than you're spending a couple $100 to get a Shedeur Sanders jersey, I'm going to say you're pretty popular. Mel Kiper was crying hard. It's not crying. And this is the thing I don't understand about sports fans. Do you think Mel Kiper is like emotionally upset that Shedeur Sanders didn't get drafted? It's an analytics thing. He's an analyst using analytics, data, and videotape to form an opinion.
Yeah. It's pretty simple.
And it's amazing to me how many people, like Eric constantly is ripping people who don't agree with you. Mel Kiper's not crying about anything. He's too busy admiring his beautiful home and the 30-year career he's had at ESPN analyzing draft picks. I don't think he's crying about anything. Conundrum says Shedeur's an NFL project. Well, you're the only one saying that because he's not a project. If he's a project, what is Cam Ward? What is Tyler Shook? What is Jalen Milroe? All of them were drafted ahead of him.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with on the field. Nothing. Nothing at all. Shedeur is not a star. He's famous through celebrity nepotism. Okay, so he's not a good quarterback. Nepotism meaning he's only famous because of
you
his
guys
dad.
better hope this dude sucks.
You had better hope
you better,
he never plays well.
You better hope he never sees the field this year, dude.
I mean, it's amazing. Mel will pick a player every year and die on that hill. He will. He will. You know. Was it Brady Quinn he said would retire if he was not a superstar by year 3? I'm sure maybe it was. You know. It's fine. I am amazed how many people just don't have like calling Shedeur Sanders a project.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what you're talking about?
No.
So he's not ready to step in and play in the NFL right now. And I would remind you, I don't think any rookie quarterback is. There's few and far between. Do you think he's more ready than Quinn Ewers? Dylan Gabriel? Dylan Gabriel, pre-draft, doesn't even grade out by most scouts as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Jalen Milroe doesn't grade out as a starting quarterback in the NFL. But Shedeur is the that's amazing to me. That's amazing to me. And again, like, one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. It is quite literally, I think it is the stupidest argument I've ever heard on Shedeur Sanders. Like, it lacks any common sense. And it tells me that you just hate the guy. Bringing up that he was 13-12 in Big 12 play. Dude, I know you're not stupid. So you're either a racist or you just hate him. There's no other argument for it. It is quite literally the dumbest, most uninformed take I've ever heard on Shedeur Sanders. It's remarkable to me. It is remarkable to me. The whole quarterback draft was wild. I mean, Graham Cracker Mertz before Quinn Ewers. It's crazy to me. Crazy to me that Tyler Shuck was drafted before Shedeur Sanders. And the schism, the divide in talent between the two is wild.
Yeah.
Wild. Mike Smith, quarterbacks get blamed for losses and credits for wins. Just depends on what side of the argument. No, it does not depend on what side of the argument you're on. And if you're going to listen, if you're going to analyze Shedeur Sanders or any other quarterback, and anybody who credits quarterbacks when teams win and blames them when they lose, don't listen to them. Turn their shit off immediately because they don't know anything about football. Nothing. Nobody with any credibility, nobody who's ever been around the game is going to tell you that a quarterback is responsible for winning and losing. Unless it's, hey, like the Russ don't give it to Marshawn Lynch at the goal line.
Mm-hmm.
Did he get blamed for that loss? No, he did not. Who got blamed for that loss? Pete Carroll got blamed for that loss. In Colorado specifically, the reason it is the stupidest thing I have ever heard is because I think routinely the things that are used to define Shedeur Sanders are that he's Deion's kid. I think the flashy gold watch, young black guy with money and affluence. Like, how many times did we hear, culture with Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah.
Right? Like we heard, they don't like the flashy watch thing. Well, but why aren't we saying that about the other kids who are driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis and, right? Like, the idea that when you look at Shedeur Sanders and you evaluate his play on a level playing field, what does he do well? What does he do bad? And how responsible is he for the outcome of those wins and losses? He is as non-responsible as any QB has ever been for what his team won and lost. In fact, I would tell you, without him, with any other quarterback, and we saw this when they were hurt, when Shedeur Sanders didn't play, how did that team do? Not well at all. Yet when he plays and he stayed healthy, they had minor upgrades on the offensive line. But most of his wide receivers were hurt. They didn't have a running game. And they were competing to win the Big 12. Why weren't we touting him as the reason they were competing to win the Big 12? Where were you then saying he was 13-12? Well, because you can't say that at Colorado. Like, if you look at who's a team that won in Penn State, Drew Aller. He played a huge role. Notre Dame with Riley Leonard. Cannot trust him to throw the football in big situations. Cannot trust him. Why did Ohio State go as far as they did? But why did they lose to Oregon? Because Will Howard wasn't ready at the end of a one-possession, very close game at Autzen. But he was really good all through the playoffs. It's crazy to me that we want to say 13-12, I'm not drafting him. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It just tells you. And Eric, I think you know football based on outside of what you say about Michigan, because I think, again, you're just a homer who will never say anything critical of them. But when we talk about the Lions or when we talk about NFL or other college stuff, you're generally fine.
You're a homer is the first part.
We get to Michigan, and I don't know, has anybody seen Ferris Khan? Probably should do a wellness check on him. But then you show up and you say stupid stuff like 13-12, can't draft him. Like you hate Shedeur Sanders. You might hate, and I don't know why you hate him. Probably because he's Deion's kid. And like I said, it's you're either in that group that's like, oh, the culture problem, which turned out to be complete BS and not true, or you just don't like him and you want to talk about nepotism. Which one is it? Because I'm gonna guess, Eric, that you either did not watch any Colorado football, but
It's kind of hard to miss.
It's kind of hard to miss. So, yeah, and I didn't want to point this out because I don't, Eric, you, sir, are a Trump racist fit. What has that got to do with anything? What does his politics have to do with a football conversation? I hate that. You can't blame a quarterback for losing unless it's Kyler Murray. That's right, because he's too short to see over the offensive line.
My bad.
Probably should keep going. I can't blame Kyler for any loss because of his conditioning.
It's tough, dude.
I'm not going to be baited. You even lift? I'm not going to be baited into playing the Kyler Murray weightlift. Pick it up. I won't do it. I'm not going to play Kyler Murray.
Is this another David Goggins video?
Stay hard.
Could Kyler Murray could this version of Kyler Murray survive David Goggins? Okay, there it is. I give Kyler a look at the face on Kyler.
Stay hard.
Let's go, Kyler. I mean, and look at that. He's lifting with the safeties.
Ass to grass, dude.
It just is what it is. To Shedeur credit, he has David Carr syndrome his first year at Colorado. Dude, his first year at Colorado, that cat didn't have an offensive line. I think, and I should probably double check it, but there's a stat. He was I believe he had less time from snap to first pressure. I believe they were dead last in college football. Like from the time that the ball was snapped until he was pressured by the defense, especially in his first year, I believe they were dead last in college football. It's ridiculous. I think some were actually trying to roll back the child labor laws, and it might be for Kyler. It could be. Absolutely could be. No doubt. Come on. J-Trey. Shedeur flaunted his material wealth as a way to elevate himself above others. I think it's a genius reason to dislike his character. Why should we?
Hold on. How do you know that?
And why are we shaming rich people now?
What do you mean he's flaunting his material wealth to put others down? What evidence do you have of that? Like, is that just your interpretation?
His material wealth to elevate him above others. That's how you see it. But again, and I ask this question all the time on this show. Why do we want to shame the rich in this country?
I got news for you guys. And you can call me an a-hole if you want. If I had a Lambo, people'd know about it. People know about it. You'd see it because it's something to celebrate.
You are talking about a guy in Shedeur who has busted his ass to get to where he is. And we're just supposed to somehow now shame him because he's flaunting his material wealth. That's what we're supposed to do now.
I forgot. You just mistyped your comment. Your comment was supposed to say you were jealous.
He's 23 years old and a multimillionaire. And we're supposed to shame him. Why aren't we celebrating that?
Like,
why aren't we celebrating 23-year-old multimillionaires
playing in the NFL,
achieving at an incredibly high level in life? Why are we knocking that? I will never understand that. I will never understand it. That's wild to me that's what we're thinking. That's crazy. Any last minute prize picks before the games, boy? Well, you tell me what. You tell me what. In the NBA, here are our prize picks for tonight. We talked about it a few minutes ago, but I'm happy to espouse my greatness.
Look, Shedeur, take it easy.
LeBron, more than 6.5 free throw attempts. Steph Curry, less than 12 3-pointers attempted. And Luka Doncic, more than 4.5 3-pointers made.
Oh,
that's what
is that
I
a
have.
demon?
Yeah, that's a demon.
Okay, so we have the same players, different lines though. Because I have LeBron for more than 1 dunk.
Okay.
Luka for more than 3.5 3-pointers made, and Steph for more than 5.5 3-pointers made. So same guys, just different lines.
What do you have on prize picks tonight?